For more than 3 centuries, Oak Island has concealed a secret so perilous that anyone who came close was stopped. Some were defeated by sudden floods, others by collapsing tunnels, and a few simply vanished without explanation. But today, for the first time ever, a passage long whispered about, the so-called Forbidden Tunnel, has finally been opened. What lay inside didn't just astonish treasure hunters, it unsettled scientists. This was no ordinary tunnel. Its walls were constructed in a way that even modern engineering struggles to explain. Water inside flowed against natural laws, and etched into the stone were markings clearly never meant to be seen. That discovery led to a chilling question that changed everything. Was Oak Island designed to protect a treasure, or to imprison something? Because here's what few are willing to admit. This tunnel wasn't uncovered by accident. It was opened deliberately. Stay with us, because by the end of this story, you'll understand why Oak Island's true secret was never gold, but something powerful enough to alter history itself. The breakthrough didn't come from a dramatic dig or a lucky strike. Ironically, it emerged from something most had overlooked. While reviewing seismic scans from the previous season, the Oak Island team was trying to map what they believed to be a rectangular chamber beneath the money pit. At first, nothing stood out. Until one technician noticed an anomaly buried so deep in the data, it shouldn't have appeared at all. A thin, perfectly straight void, cutting through layers of collapsed stone. It didn't resemble any natural fracture or known flood tunnel on the island. The shape was too precise, too controlled, almost engineered. Initially, the team suspected a data distortion caused by saturated soil. But when the scan was rerun using higher frequency equipment, the anomaly didn't fade. It became sharper. The tunnel was real, and it wasn't part of the documented flood system. Instead, it ran parallel to it, deeper, hidden between geological layers where no one should have been able to dig centuries ago. Rick Lagina was the first to react. Leaning towards the monitor, his expression balanced awe and unease. He had long believed Oak Island's secrets were far older and more advanced than history acknowledged. Now there was proof. A straight, reinforced corridor, buried in an age before modern engineering. When the drilling team lowered a test shaft toward the anomaly, the drill bit passed through dense clay, then brick-like material, before suddenly breaking into empty space. The torque dropped instantly. The crew went silent. Cameras kept rolling. They had struck a tunnel no one even knew existed. Then came the detail that changed everything. The tunnel wasn't empty. Footage from the borehole camera revealed smooth walls shaped by tools, not water, coated in sediment untouched for centuries. Strange mineral deposits clung to the ceiling like frost. At the far edge of the camera's reach, a wall of stacked stone formed a perfectly deliberate barrier. Someone had built this tunnel and then sealed it on purpose. It wasn't a collapse. It wasn't an accident. It was a warning. And the team had just created the first crack in a mystery that was never meant to surface. As the crew cleared the final layers of stone around the borehole and prepared to cut an access channel into the Forbidden Tunnel, the island reacted in a way none of them had ever experienced. It began with a subtle shift, like the ground exhaling, sending loose gravel sliding across the platform. Then, a cold draft surged upward from the opening, brushing past the crew with a chill that felt unnaturally deep, as if it had traveled through untouched chambers far below. Rick immediately ordered environmental readings. The temperature inside the void was dropping rapidly, far faster than surrounding soil conditions could explain. Moments later, every radio burst into static. Communication faltered. When Gary Drayton scanned the edge of the borehole with his metal detector, expecting minor interference, the device went wild. The overload was so intense, he nearly lost his grip. The detector screamed with signals from every direction, dense and overwhelming, like a lightning storm buried underground. Marty tried to calm the team, suggesting mineral deposits or forgotten iron debris. But the data didn't support that theory. The signals weren't random. They were structured, lining the tunnel walls as if metal had been deliberately embedded into the corridor itself. Searching for clarity, the team lowered a second high-resolution camera into the shaft. At first, its narrow beam revealed only dust drifting through icy air. Then the walls came into view. Smooth, refined surfaces, carved with a precision no early settlers should have been capable of achieving. The symmetry was exact. This wasn't crude excavation. It was intentional construction. Then the image jolted. Not a typical signal loss, but a sharp, concussive distortion that twisted the footage for a split second. When the feed stabilized, the camera was facing the barrier at the tunnel's far end. A wall built from layered stone blocks packed so tightly that even the camera's light couldn't reveal the seams. The stones were coated with the same unusual clay compound found earlier, a sealing material centuries ahead of its time. Dust drifted across the surface until the wall itself began to tremble. Just slightly, but enough to shake the camera. The tunnel wasn't reacting to pressure or machinery. It was responding to human presence. Rick stepped back from the screen. "This isn't just a tunnel," he said quietly. "It's guarded." That realization brought an even more disturbing thought. If this passage was designed to keep something out, what was it working so hard to keep in? The decision to break through the sealed barrier was not made lightly. Every expert present understood the truth. That wall wasn't debris. It wasn't coincidence. It was a deliberate seal, and whatever lay beyond it was never meant to be found. The blockage had been built intentionally. Long ago, someone carefully constructed it using limestone blocks sealed with a rust-colored clay, packed so tightly it formed an airtight seal. The composition puzzled chemists. It behaved partly like a waterproof layer, partly like a binding agent, and partly like something entirely unknown. Whatever its purpose, it had held firm for generations. To avoid damaging the tunnel, the team assembled a custom drilling system designed to create a precise, controlled opening. As the drill bit pressed into the barrier, the stone released a deep, hollow vibration, almost a low moan, that echoed through the borehole like a warning carried across centuries. Fine dust spiraled upward in slow, twisting plumes, glowing unnaturally in the light. The air grew colder and heavier. Even the most experienced drill operators exchanged uneasy glances. Oak Island had never reacted like this before. Then, exactly 16 inches into the barrier, the drill broke through, and everything changed. A powerful rush of air burst from the opening. It wasn't cold like before. It was warm, unsettlingly warm, as if it had been trapped inside a deep underground chamber for centuries. The camera lens fogged instantly, then cleared. That's when the sound came. A deep, metallic groan that didn't come from the drill, the rig, or the surrounding stone. It came from within the tunnel itself. Rick's eyes widened. Marty leaned closer, trying to identify the source, but before anyone could react, the breach began to widen on its own, as if pressure held back for generations had finally found a way out. When the dust settled and the camera advanced, the truth became unmistakable. The wall hadn't been a simple blockage. It was a doorway. Beyond it, the tunnel plunged downward into a steep, expertly crafted descent. The angle was calculated with unnerving precision. The walls bore the same polished finish seen earlier, but here the tool marks were sharper, deeper, and far more deliberate. Whoever carved this passage had a clear purpose. They weren't trying to reach the surface. They were heading towards something buried far below. Laser scans revealed the descending tunnel aimed directly toward an area beneath the money pit, an area long believed unreachable due to historic collapses and flooding. Yet this passage avoided every known hazard, hidden so deeply that no explorer in over 2 centuries had ever detected it. Rick finally voiced what everyone was thinking. This wasn't a treasure shaft. It was access. Access to what remained unknown. As the camera's beam stretched farther into the darkness, the danger felt closer than ever. The team quickly agreed the sharp descent was too unstable for human entry, so they deployed the Rover. The small tracked robot was equipped with floodlights, ultrasonic scanners, and a reinforced frame built for unstable underground conditions. As it rolled into the darkness, the video feed flickered, then stabilized, revealing smooth, slanted walls that looked engineered rather than crudely carved. Every curve and angle aligned perfectly, as though the tunnel had been constructed from detailed plans, far beyond what early settlers' tools should have allowed. Halfway down, the rover's instruments detected hollow spaces branching off from the main corridor. At first, they appeared to be minor irregularities, possibly natural voids. But as the rover moved closer, the truth became clear. These were alcoves, precisely shaped recesses carved directly into the tunnel walls. Some had been sealed with stone, others partially collapsed, but all shared the same exact dimensions. One alcove, however, remained open. When the rover's lights swept inside, the team spotted remnants of wooden supports, charred black by age. Metal rings were fused directly into the stone, and shattered braces littered the floor. This wasn't leftover debris. It was the remains of a mechanism, possibly a trap designed to collapse the tunnel if triggered. The realization sent a chill through the crew. If this had been a trap, then the tunnel wasn't just a passage. It was a guarded route, a final route. The rover moved deeper, its tracks softly scraping against the limestone floor. Moisture levels rose quickly, fogging the camera lens with heavy droplets. Rick activated the wipers, and as the view cleared, another section of the tunnel came into focus, marked by long parallel grooves carved into the stone. The grooves were straight, evenly spaced, and far too precise to be natural. Archaeologists watching remotely suggested they might be tracks, possibly for sled runners or rail systems, cut into stone centuries before such technology should have existed on Oak Island. As the rover continued forward, the ground leveled out and the tunnel made a sharp turn to the right. When the camera adjusted, it revealed another obstruction. But this one wasn't stone. It wasn't wood. It wasn't clay-sealed masonry. It was metal. A massive metallic wall rose from floor to ceiling, its surface dulled by age, yet unmistakably artificial. The rover's floodlights reflected off faint geometric engravings, intersecting lines and triangles etched at precise angles, suggesting a level of mathematical knowledge far beyond anything ever attributed to Oak Island's known builders. Rick leaned closer to the screen and whispered, "This shouldn't be here. Not in this place. Not in this era." No one disagreed. Hidden deep beneath the island, behind ancient stonework and elaborate sabotage systems, the team had encountered something impossible. Something that didn't belong underground, didn't belong on Oak Island, and perhaps was never meant to be discovered. And the longer they studied the metallic surface, the clearer one truth became. This barrier wasn't just hiding something, it was protecting it. The crew stared at the rover's feed in stunned silence. A metal wall buried this deep beneath Oak Island wasn't just unexpected, it was impossible. No colonial settlers, no pirates, no secret society from the 1600s or 1700s possessed the ability to build something like this. The surface wasn't rough or corroded, but smooth and deliberately formed, reflecting the rover's lights with a muted glow. The material suggested an alloy far more advanced than iron or early steel. Chemical scans only deepened the mystery. The rover's instruments detected fluctuating magnetic readings, rising and falling in uneven pulses, almost as if the wall itself was responding to their presence. It wasn't just metal, it was designed, layered, deliberate. As the camera zoomed closer, faint symbols emerged. These weren't crude hand carvings, they were etched patterns, intersecting triangles, straight lines, repeating angles, almost like pieces of a coded system. One archaeologist watching remotely suggested they resembled early navigational symbols, while another proposed they were proto-Templar mapping signs. But even those theories fell apart as the rover moved deeper. The markings weren't random. They followed a precise, repeating pattern, a geometric language that hinted at measurement, calibration, or warning. Rick's voice dropped to a whisper. "This is organized." Before the team could study the symbols further, the rover detected vibrations, subtle, steady, rhythmic, not caused by drilling, not from activity above, but from behind the wall. A low, deliberate hum grew stronger with every passing second. Marty leaned forward, eyes wide. That's not natural. Something's producing it. Suddenly, the sensor spiked, jolting the rover. Loose sediment fell from the ceiling as the wall groaned, a metallic sound, the kind metal makes when it strains under pressure. But strain from what? The data made one fact undeniable. Whatever lay behind that barrier wasn't dormant. And if the wall had been built to contain something, opening it might have been the most dangerous decision the Oak Island team had ever made. With the metallic barrier vibrating more intensely by the minute, they knew their window to investigate safely was shrinking. Engineers positioned a hydraulic spreader along the weakest seam, identified by thermal imaging. At first, nothing budged. The wall resisted every ounce of force, flexing slightly but refusing to break. It was far tougher than any alloy they could have expected beneath Oak Island. Then, with a sharp metallic crack, the seam gave way. A rush of trapped air burst outward, warm, stale, carrying the scent of minerals and something far older. The rover's lens fogged instantly, then cleared to reveal what lay beyond. A massive chamber stretched out before them, far larger than any previously mapped underground space. The walls were carved directly from bedrock and smoothed with precision impossible for hand tools. Wooden platforms that once lined the perimeter had collapsed into rotted fragments across the stone floor. Rusted chains hung from anchor points high on the walls, swaying faintly as if disturbed for the first time in centuries. But the center of the chamber captured everyone's attention. A circular depression filled with perfectly still water, so calm it mirrored the rover's lights like black glass. Carved shelves lined the surrounding walls. Empty shelves. Whatever had been stored here had been removed deliberately. The camera tilted upward, revealing symbols etched above the shelves, glowing faintly under the rover's lights. Angular markings, unrelated to English, French, Latin, or any colonial script, dominated the stone. One symbol repeated more than any other. An eye enclosed within a triangle. Rick swallowed hard. If this was the vault, it was empty. Yet the chamber's eerie stillness suggested something significant had been here. Something important enough to be buried deeper than any treasure. And someone had taken it. At first, the team assumed the water was ordinary, stagnant, silent. But as the rover shifted to get a better view, the surface trembled. A single ripple spread outward, then vanished. No draft, no falling debris, no rover movement could explain it. Then it happened again. A second ripple, rhythmic, pulsing. Rick leaned closer, frowning. That's not random. He was right. The ripples followed a pattern. 2 pulses, a pause, then one deep tremor, sending a faint ring across the basin. It was as if the chamber itself was reacting to their intrusion, communicating through vibrations. The rover's sensors confirmed a larger cavity beneath the stone floor, directly under the pool, hollow, unmapped, and filled with something denser than water. When sonar pinged, the signal returned distorted, as if bouncing off something in motion. The team went silent. Another ripple rose, bigger this time. The vibrations traveled up the rover's treads and into the surrounding floor, shaking dust from the cavern walls. A low, resonant hum echoed through the chamber, neither mechanical nor geological, but something in between, like pressure shifting inside a sealed system. Gary whispered what everyone was thinking. "Something's down there." Before anyone could react, the ripple pattern accelerated. The water quivered in faster, stronger pulses. The chamber's walls shook, sending tiny rock fragments tumbling into the pool. Then the water bulged upward unnaturally, not boiling, not splashing, rising as if something beneath Oak Island was pushing against it. This chamber wasn't just a vault, it was a lid, and whatever it had contained was stirring. As the water swelled, the rover's sensors spiked wildly. The temperature dropped 5 degrees in under 10 seconds. Pressure inside the chamber surged, bending the rover's frame as if unseen hands were squeezing the very air. Before the team could react, a deep vibration rolled through the floor, slow, heavy, deliberate, like the heartbeat of something buried far below.